Why you need airbrush paints. You have an airbrush. Now what? You'll need some paints. Huge Miniatures has you covered. Use the link in the description to get some Huge Mini stuff for yourself. Here's a quick little guide on how to use our airbrush paints. Step 1. Shake paints. Step 2. Pour paint into airbrush cup. Step 3. Airbrush. That's it. No thinning required. Shake, pour, spray, repeat. Here are a few things that Huge Miniatures airbrush paints come in handy for. Airbrushing with these paints can make something that would normally be tedious very quick and painless. Let's use these hooded goblins for example. I want to paint them yellow, which is a notoriously hard color to do. The steps I would take is a base coat of pink, then an orangey yellow, and then a bright yellow. To do this by brush would take a while, and each step may take multiple layers, which would be a chore if you have to batch paint. Airbrush paints can make the whole process smoother. Get the airbrush paint you want without having to worry about thinning and getting the consistency right. These airbrush paints also have fantastic coverage, so you won't have to do a second or third coat, saving you time and effort. If you have more of the same to paint in the future, you can easily replicate the look since the paints come pre-thinned and ready to go. Since these paints are pre-thinned and designed specifically for airbrushing, cleaning your brush between switching colors is simple and easy. First, dump out any excess paint from the cup of your airbrush. Pour a little water into your airbrush cup and dump it out. Taking a paper towel to wipe away any excess that might be stuck in the cup. Then, spray water through your airbrush until it runs clear. You can pinch the end of some airbrushes with the needle pulled back to have water run back through your airbrush, which will speed up and provide a more thorough cleaning. After the spray water runs clear, you should be ready to swap paints to the next color. Repeat that whole process until you have the look you want. Ta-da! 10 yellow-robed goblins, base-coated in no time. OSL, or Object Source Lighting, is easy with this stuff too. Object Source Lighting is when you mimic some sort of light source casting light onto your miniature. A classic example of a light source is a plasma gun. Take a miniature that needs a little pizzazz in the form of OSL, grab the light color of your choice, then mimic how you think light would emanate from that light source and how it would travel from the source to illuminate nearby objects on the miniature itself or the base, making it appear as if the miniature's own light source is emitting the light. If you keep the tip of the airbrush close to the light source, you can angle the brush to mimic the angle of the light. You want to barely pull back on the airbrush's trigger. If your airbrush has a 0.2mm nozzle, this would be a great time to use it. A little goes a long way. Smooth shading is something that's easy with airbrush paints as well. This big worm is a great candidate for some ultra smooth highlighting. Painting this worm with a brush would be a chore, take a long time, and probably end up with an uneven, rough paint job. I first started with a dark purple and slowly worked my way up through the line until the worm was done. I made sure to keep one light source in mind, so all the shading was consistent. In my head, the sun was coming from the top right. Even though technically this is a cave worm and there isn't sun. Whatever, you get the idea. There are big panels on the worm that could use more detail. Stencils are a great way to add details with your airbrush. Depending on your model, you can tape down the stencil, but I'm just going to be holding it against the model. Spray through the stencil with whatever color you like, and it should leave a really cool pattern below. I'm using the purple-pink multicolor paint to give the honeycomb a little metallic look. Very cool. Adding a billion dots like this would take forever by brush. You can do it extremely quickly with stencils. As I've stated before, these paints have been thinned to a really nice consistency that sprays smoothly through an airbrush. Because they've been thinned this way, if you add some to your paint palette, they work like speed paints. Get a little paint on your brush, dab off the excess, and paint it on like any other speed paint. It'll flow into the recesses and stay lighter on the most raised areas like a glaze. Here's a model that I quickly base coated with the airbrush paints and a few washes. And here's the model after highlighting with the same base coats mixed with white airbrush paints. These paints weren't intended for this purpose, but multi-use is multi-good. And voila! How and why you should use Huge Mini's airbrush paints. Use the link in the description to get some for yourself. Like and subscribe if you found this useful. Alright, bye-bye.